my channel, everybody, and welcome to our book chat, our September book wrap up. So I have my nice stack of books here that we're going to talk about that I've read in the month of September. So let's get into it. Now, the first book I'm going to talk about is The Final Girl Support Group. It's by Grady, Hendrix. I'm not going to talk too much about my thoughts on this book because there's actually going to be a reading vlog for this book coming up this month. So I'm going to hold all my thoughts for that. But this was my first Grady Hendrix novel and I did enjoy it. So just a little blurb for this one: from Chainsaws to Summer Camp Slayers, Grady Hendrix' fast-paced and wickedly humorous thriller, The Final Girl Support Group, pays tribute to and slyly subverts our most popular horror films, movies like The Chainsaw Massacre, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and Scream. Lynette Tarkington is a real-life final girl who survived a massacre. For more than a decade, she's been meeting with 5 other final girls and their therapists in a support group for those who endured the unthinkable, working to put their lives back together. Then one woman misses a meeting, and Lynette's worst fears are realized. Someone knows about the group and is determined to rip their lives apart, again, piece by piece. So I'm just going to say I enjoyed it, but you'll be able to see all my thoughts about this one in the coming vlogs. The next one is Don't Let Her Stay by Nicola Sanders. And this one says, Joanne knows how lucky she is. Richard is a wonderful husband. Evie is the most gorgeous baby girl. They live in a beautiful house. Life couldn't be better. Until Richard's 20-year-old daughter, Chloe, gets in touch. Chloe hasn't spoken to her father since the day he married Joanne 2 years ago. But with the arrival of her baby sister, Evie, Chloe wants to make peace. Richard is delighted, and since Joanne is struggling with the new baby, he suggests Chloe could move in and help. It sounds like the perfect solution until things start to happen that make Joanne feel like she's losing her mind. She misplaces things, misses important appointments, gets dates wrong. Could Joanne be going mad just like her own mother, or is something more sinister happening? Is Chloe really here to help, or has Joanne made a terrible mistake by letting her move in? And is it too late to ask her to leave? So this book, I will say this one was good because it twisted and it turned, and what you think you know about this family is not necessarily what you know. I will say though, I really have an issue with characters not using their brains, because there were a lot of moments in this one where I felt like if she had just thought things through a little bit more, she would have picked up on it. But when it gets to the end, blew my mind. I completely did not see that coming. I did enjoy this book. It did seem to move a little bit slow in some places, but overall it was a good read. Now the next one is What Feasts at Night by T.Kingfisher. I've read a lot of her books. I love her books, and I've talked about them in other reading vlogs. Now this is the second installment, so I'm guessing this is going to be like a series for her because it's the second installment dealing with this certain set of characters. The first one is called What Moves the Dead. I've talked about that. It's like one of my favorite horror, thriller, mysteries of all the books that I've read. This one, I also have a reading vlog on, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but this is another episode with our characters, and they're just enduring some weird stuff. Let's just say that. So after their terrifying ordeal at the Usher Manor, Alex Easton feels as if they just survived another war. All they crave is rest, routine, and sunshine, but instead, as a favor to Angus and Miss Potter, they find themselves heading to their family hunting lodge deep in the cold, damp forests of their home country, Galicia. In theory, one can find relaxation in even the coldest and dampest of Galician autumns, but when Easton arrives, they find the caretaker dead, the lodge in disarray, and the grounds troubled by a strange, uncanny silence. The villagers whisper that a breath-stealing monster from folklore has taken up residence in Easton's home. Easton knows better than to put too much stock in local superstitions, but they can tell that something is not quite right in their home or in their dreams. So that's what this one is about. Check out the reading vlog later on this month for you to hear all my thoughts. The Chateau. Now this one was this probably goes into my list as one of my favorite thriller reads, because when I tell you, it's crazy because I read this entire book and like the entire time I was like, okay, it can't be them. It cannot be them. Turned out to be them, and at the end I was kind of like, but is it bad that I actually kind of like the villain? Like, this is interesting. And the craziest part is that the madness does not stop. Like, it literally goes to the end, and I'm like, is she coming out with another book? Because I really need to know what happens after the last couple of sentences in this book. Like, that is how good it is. So I definitely think The Chateau by Jaclyn Goldis is a must read. Do I have another book by her? I don't know. It's a must read. I love it, and it is like one of my favorite thrills. Like, it really had me on the edge of my seats. I do feel like this one was pretty simple and easy to read because the chapters are short and you're going through like the perspectives of like 6 or 7 people. So really good. So welcome to picturesque Provence, where the lady of the chateau, Seraphine Demargelis, has opened its elegant doors to her granddaughter, Darcy, and 3 friends. 20 years earlier, the 4 girlfriends studied abroad together in France and visited the old woman on the weekends, creating the group's deep bond. But why the sudden invitation? Amid wineries, horrors, market visits, and fancy dinners overlooking olive groves and lavender fields, it becomes clear that each woman has a hidden reason for returning to the estate after all these years. Then, following a wild evening celebration, Seraphine is found brutally murdered. In the midst of the shocking crime, a sinister Instagram account pops up exposing snapshots from the friends' intimate moments at the chateau while threatening to reveal more. As they race to uncover who murdered Seraphine and is now stalking them, the friends begin to suspect each other because the chateau houses many secrets, several worth killing for. Like, it's twist after twist after twist. Revelations about family connections that you didn't know about. There's only one thing that I was like, dang, that was cold-blooded. Like, why you had to do that? But other than that, because I literally didn't think this person was going to be the person who did it, at the end I was kind of like, but I like her. So, yeah, very, 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 very interesting, very, very twisty. And these ladies had a lot of secrets. So, She's Not Sorry by Mary Kubica. This one reads, Megan Michaels is trying to find balance between being a single mom to a teenage daughter and working as a full-time nurse. While Megan is on duty at the hospital one day, a patient named Caitlin arrives in a coma with a traumatic brain injury after jumping from a bridge and plunging over 20 feet to the train tracks below. But when a witness comes forward with shocking details about the fall, it calls everything they know into question. Was Caitlin pushed? And if so, by whom and why? Megan has always tried to stay emotionally detached from her patients, but this time she mistakenly lets herself get too close until she's deeply entangled in Caitlin's life. Only when it's too late does she realize that she and her daughter will be the next victims. So, okay. First of all, I think there was just too much going on. Like, there's a storyline that is going to pop up at the end where you kind of know in the beginning of the book that something's not quite right with that, but you just don't know how it's going to tie in. I think the way she tied it in was horrible. Like, I think it was unnecessary because it just seems so out of left field. And then when the book wraps up, it does make you go like, wait a second, did this other person know what was going on? How much do they know? And leaves you on that cliffhanger. But overall, I thought there was just too much going on. Now, I will say I did not know the twist was going to happen. So this book is like divided. I think it's like divided into 2 parts. So you're going through this whole book and then pow, like it just hits you in the face. And I'm like, well, dang, I really didn't see that coming. Like no clues to that was coming. But if she had just stuck with that story, I feel like, and just worked and fleshed that one, it would have been a lot better than her throwing like a curveball in after that. Because I feel like she never really truly resolved the first one. It was just kind of like, oh, we've wrapped that up. Now this thing is happening. So, yeah, I've read other books by her too. And I can't think off one I think is like The Nicest Couple, and then there's like one other I read in between. This is her newest one. I wasn't that crazy about this one, but it's okay. And the last one, A Killer in the Family by Gytha Lodge. So this one says, when the police found the first body left on a bonfire in the forest, they worried that it showed the hallmarks of a serial killer. Now as they find the second, they know for sure. Panic about the bonfire killer quickly spreads through the sedate suburban area. Women are urged not to travel alone at night, and constant vigilance is encouraged among the local residents. But single mom Aislinn Cooling has a lot to distract her. 2 beloved teenage sons and a quest to find her long-lost father, whom she hasn't seen since she was a teenager. After much debate, she decides to upload her DNA to an ancestry website. When she gets a match, she is filled with an anxious excitement that her questions about her father's disappearance from her life might finally be answered. But to her horror, it's not her father who has found her. It's the detective who informs her that her DNA is a close match for the bonfire killer. Okay, so one thing I did not know about this, because it does not indicate anywhere on this book, now I'm reading the back, nope, that this is a series. So this is like book 5, I think, in like a detective series surrounding, it's called the Jonah. Now I'm trying to figure out where I saw it. It might have been on Goodreads that I saw it, because I always like to track the books that I read there. But it's called like the Jonah something series, who like Jonah is like the chief. I didn't know this was a part of a series. I will say that the book, I'm trying to see if it says it anywhere in here. The book does read fine by itself. Like, I didn't feel like because I didn't read the other books, I was lost in this current mystery. What I may have been lost is like in the background relationship things that had gone on. Those are probably discussed more in books 1 through 4, whatever books came before this, but they give you enough to know what's going on. Now, what I will say, because I don't know why some people, it's like when you're in the scary movie and it's like you hear a sound outside and you're like, don't go outside. Like, this book gets all the way to the end and I'm just like, clearly you know to be on your P's and Q's. But people are not on their P's and Q's. And something happens and I'm like, oh crap, now I kind of want to read the next book, but not necessarily for the next thrill, but to find out what happened to the person at the end. Like, are they no longer a part of the series? Like, what is going on? Like, did what I think happened actually happen? So it's very, there's 2 different storylines going here. Like I said, I was able to read the book without have read the other ones. I didn't feel like I didn't know anything. It's just that now I want to know what's going to happen in the next one. But my issue with this one is she milked a twist. Like, if she had just thrown the twist out there the first time and stayed on the twist, it would have been great. Maybe even twisted out one more time. But like, she literally twisted and twisted and twisted again, but she kept using like the same thing. So by the time you figure out what happened, I literally had to map back and was like, well, how is this even possible? Like, wouldn't they have figured this out? Like, it was just too much. And then the way that they acted toward like finding out information, it just had me like, come on. Like, is that really how you feel toward this person? Like, I get X, Y, Z. I get that this is a family member, but at the end of the day, like, I don't know. So I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like that the twist got milked. So the book was 400 pages. It really could have been 3. And if they had stick to 300 pages, I think it would have been a much better read. I don't know if I would want to read any other books, because like really the only reason I want to read the next book is really for the underlying storyline, because I want to know what happens there. And I don't think all of like the main storyline, like this particular bonfire killer, that's not a continuation. I feel like this series probably has like a background story and then they have like the main mystery that's being figured out. That's how I'm guessing it's going to be. But like I said, that background story, I want to know what happens in that one. So I don't know. I might have to go and pick up the next book just so I can find that out. I'll have to read the back to see if it's interesting enough and how long it is. But other than that, I mean, it would have been cool. But like I said, it's like it just got milked so many times that it's like, okay, I'm over this. So those were my reads for this month. I did have one that I was like just absolutely great read, and that is the Chateau. So I definitely highly recommend this one. You're gonna find out how I felt about the Final Girl support group and What Feast at Night. I am a Grady Hendrix fan. I will say that. I will continue to read his books, and I also already love T.Kingfisher. So yeah, I had some good reads in the stack. here they are. Let me know what you read last month. What are you thinking about reading this month? I've already shared with you guys what I'm going to be reading this month. So if there's anything missing off of that list, if you have thoughts about any of these books that I read, I'm interested to hear them. So my name is Sarah. For those of you who are new, thank you for joining. Go ahead and do all the things so you can be notified whenever another video pops up. Please continue to enjoy the October, Vlogtober, Booktober videos we got going on here. And for those of you who keep coming back, who've already joined the family, thank you so much. And I'll see you in the next one.